Happy Sunday morning, soul relaunchers. Um, Today, I really wish, this is more of a conversation type topic. We're going to talk about Woundology. And I'm going to give you guys a couple seconds here to jump on. Everybody that said they were coming or would like to jump in on this conversation, I would love to have you. And yes, I'm going a half hour late. I changed the time a couple times because we had some fun last night and had a little hard time getting up. So, say hi when you get on. Let me know. How are you today? How was your weekend? And we'll quickly get into this. Again, it's a conversation type topic here. Let me go ahead and see. There is Cassie. I think I saw she wanted to come. It's for a conversation. So I just want to be clear about something here. I really don't like to get up here and talk at you guys. I really I want to be able to have some conversations moving forward, more conversations this year. Hi, Cassie. Hi, Jessica. I want to have more conversations this year instead of, I love teaching and things, but I don't want to get up here and talk at you guys. I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear your experiences. And this is partly, and actually this is a big reason, of the Soul Relaunch Project, which I'll tell you guys more a little bit about that. It is a monthly subscription. It's a box, and I'm going to you'll get 3 tools every month. And then we will, once a month, we jump on a Zoom, all of us that are in the Soul Relaunch Project. And what it is, it's a project to relaunch your soul this year, right? To uncover the programming and kind of unravel, but also embrace that. And this is going to lead into Woundology. Woundology is the language. Well, here, I'll introduce it this way. Have you ever yourself, we do this, ourselves. Hi, Megan. Good morning. I love it that you're on here with me today. Is the language of how we not introduce, but if someone ever come up to you, okay, you've met someone new, and they immediately go into everything that's went wrong with them. As empaths and healers, as mystical type of people that are healing, and we hold space of radical acceptance, this is a really common thing that happens. For me, as I have chosen to show up as a coach, right? Like that's how I identify myself, is so then people feel comfortable sharing their wounds with me. But as a society, that's actually the way we communicate, right? Is we share our wounds. Here we share our wounds to relate with one another. All right. That's also part of Woundology. And also another thing, something that I've had a hard time with, is that we don't really want to heal. Who really wants to heal? Not until the last 3 months have I accepted this, that some people don't want to heal until they do. It's part of their journey, right? And I have to embrace that and keep in my mind that as I am myself, there's things that probably I don't want to heal yet, obviously. We all have these things where it's part of our identity, that wound. So here's an example from my teacher. That she was having lunch with some women who she didn't know very well, okay? I think they were like acquaintances. And this lady that was there, this other person walked up to her and said, do you want to do the date June 6th or June 7th for our meeting? And this woman, who my teacher, Sufani is her name, didn't know her very well. This woman that this lady was asking, do you want to do the meeting June 6th or June 7th? And this lady was like, oh, we can't do June 6th because that's my incest support group. And if I miss that, I'm da-da-da-da-da, and just started pouring out all this information that like nobody needed to know. How many times have we done this? Or I know I've done this. And we're being totally 100% authentic and real here. All right, nobody's going to judge anybody. This is why I say this needs to be a conversation, because we come from that wound, right? And we think that, well, let me finish the story. So then after the lady started pouring out, I have the incest support group, and instead of just saying June 7th would be better, she was just going on and on and on. So after the lady that set the meeting left, my teacher asked her, why did you feel that you had to tell everybody that is part of your story, that you are a victim of incest or whatever, you're in support? And she goes, because I am. And my teacher said, Sufani goes, okay, that's interesting, right? That's part of her identity. And she doesn't know, like, that's who she is. And so let's think for a moment that, let's say that if she did heal that wound, right? When we are given the opportunity to heal, it's a struggle in itself, because we have identified with those wounds. And also, guess what? We don't heal because being sick and being wounded gives us an excuse as to why we are not showing up in our full expression and potential, because that has a lot of responsibility with it. I kind of talked about this a couple weeks ago, where I came on and I was doing a throat chakra thing over in conscious creation, and I just got this burst of like, look, you're gonna piss people off. When you do this work, choosing to heal is the most difficult, life-changing, like, it's the biggest thing you're ever going to do in your life. And also, when we decide to heal, that changes things, right? That changes everything after. Like, we have to be responsible. Also, I'm going to just I wrote some notes on when I was being taught about this. And so, Woundology, we set ourselves on the path to healing, but we don't do the work to change, and we dwell in our wounds. Like, a lot of times we say, oh, I'm healing right now, or even the beginning of the year, oh, I want to lose weight. That's healing, right? We want to get healthier, but what do? We don't change our patterns, and we're going to talk about that towards the end here. I'm going to give you guys 2 ways to break your patterns, okay, of your wounds, falling back into old patterns. So we believe we're owed something because someone along the way hurt us, right? Life. God messed up. There was a cosmic glitch. When these horrible things have happened to us, this is what we believe, right? That this is not the life we're supposed to be living. My life is unfolding in a way that I don't agree with, right? This isn't my life. We take it so personal. We think that the universe, we think that God, we think that whatever, right, is out to get us when we experience these horrible things. Now, in childhood, that definitely forms our identity, because when it happens, we put this mask on as a child, and then when we take it off, like, there is this programming that happens, which is why we work with the subconscious mind in here. This is why I talk about it so much, is that in your subconscious mind, where these wounds have literally become a part of your identity, and this is what hypnosis is for. This is what, affirmations are for. The affirmation holder, I don't have my affirmation on it, but this is what the reprogramming is about undoing those things. But it's more of our belief of why that wound happened and what did I do? What did I do to deserve this? It's not, when we're wounded, it's not something because of us. It's a collective, right? It's a collective experience. It's not something that, just our energy brought on. So like when we've had a bad day, right? or your partner or your friend, or maybe you have a bad day, we come home and we take it out on the people that we love the most. Okay, who does that? I do. Hold on, I'm going to get on here. I can't see any comments if you guys are making any. So let me know in here, your wounds, even when you meet somebody or you've observed this, how people, that's how we communicate, is through our wounds. How many of you, the first time you've met somebody, okay, and this is the question I really want an answer to. How many of you make it a point to share your wounds right up front or in the early stages of a friendship, to say, hey, this is what I've been through, and these are the rules, this is what I can do and what I can't. Who's done that? Or and people at Turning Point, my lovely co-workers at Turning Point, because this is what we do. We're in the business of healing, helping people heal trauma, addiction, and mental illness. And so, and each one of us, we've been through it ourselves. And so we relate through shared experience. And I think there's a difference between being in the wound and having a shared experience with somebody else. So for example, rape, right? If one person's been raped, I've never been raped, so we would go on to another person that has. Another example at work that we have, well, for addiction, I've dealt with addiction, abortion, that's been in my experience. So if somebody comes in and says and is dealing with that, then I would, you know what I mean? Also, I think there's some just shared experiences, but we don't live by those. Like, I've healed from those and am still healing. I will always be healing from those, but I don't allow them to define who I am anymore, right? So this person that's there who is defined by her wounds, that's when I can step in and say, this is what, I just listen, right? Because radical acceptance, first of all, is the first step, like, of really beginning to break the pattern of identifying with our wounds. Now, back to when we come home, a lot of times when David comes home, he's in a shitty mood. I can shift the energy. I feel the energy right away. And I have begun to respond differently to it. That's another way to start to break the energetic pattern of that connection. Like, the last 6 months, I've responded differently to his stuff. Okay, when the people around. So, with myself, when I notice I'm doing this, Woundology, it's the language of our wounds. That's what Woundology is. And so basically, a point to share our wounds up front, early stages, and say, so it's a deeply primal response of our ancient soul's belief, right? These are things that have happened in past lives. Like, our soul has these beliefs of, I'm wounded, or I want to stay wounded, because if I don't have an excuse. If I heal, I no longer have an excuse for why I'm not showing up. This is something I see so much. So, also, what's another one? You have to know where I was wounded. Okay, here we go. So, like, when you meet someone, you say, hey, you have to know where I was wounded and what my past history is like. It's part of who I am. And without it, I don't know who I am. And this is really good. Yesterday at a coaching session, I was the coach in a coaching session. And this is exactly what we talked about almost, which is really interesting. Also, when we heal our wounds, we don't know how to control anyone anymore. Another example is, and I'm not going to say names, but to myself, I had a friend who told me that I did something in one of my lives here that hurt her, or that was crossed her boundary. And it totally took away, and it was in my private group, it took away from the whole lesson that I was giving. And it was like a focused, laser focused on probably 2 minutes that I mentioned something she didn't want me to mention, an idea. In a teaching I was doing about goddess goals. And so with that wound, something within herself, as far as not being able to be vulnerable, or not something happened to where she shared an idea at one point in her life, and somebody either took it from, I don't know, like took it, or I don't know, something happened to where she doesn't feel comfortable sharing that, or she doesn't want to let people out, whatever her wound is. But that was woundology, okay? Of like when somebody tells you you've done something, even though you completely were coming from a place of love and you were not even anywhere near like that, it was, you don't even know how they saw that, that is looking through a lens of a wound and fear. So, you know, health requires us to be fully in our power. When we're sick, and if you guys, the same thing, when I'm sick or Izzy's sick, I'm almost like, yes, I get to stay home and I don't have to go to work. Who else does this? Who else has a tiny bit of like excitement when they're sick or their kids are sick? Let's be real here. No bullshit, all right? This is how we heal, okay? We have to be real. So, or like if there's a snow day, like when, I don't know, when things happen, I have a tiny little excitement of like, I get to just not show up today. And I get excited. But then other days I'm like, hey, I want to do this. Like, it's not easy showing up, doing lives, and doing everything I'm doing. Do you guys know how many times, and I did, there's many times I checked out and didn't come back up for like a couple months in the beginning. Me being consistently showing up like this was not an easy thing for me at all. Zero. It wasn't. It's not like one day I'm just like, oh, I feel good and I'm gonna show up and tell everybody about my addiction and about my, everything else that's happened in my life, and I'm just gonna create this private, like, no, this has been part of my journey and it's helped me heal because it's made me step out of my comfort zone, right? In our comfort zone, we know what's gonna happen, so we're not scared. Going out of our comfort zone and not knowing what's going to happen, we do get scared. And then guess what? Self-fulfilling prophecy. The thing that we expect to happen is going to happen. So that's a different live we're going to do there. But back to woundology. So we have to have a reason to not be fully responsible for showing up in our highest potential. So how do we break this pattern? How do we do this? How do we break the pattern of going back in, first of all, of identifying with these wounds, going back into them, right? Or we start to heal, but then we fall back into old patterns, right? Falling back. This first step is forgiveness. And I'm not saying that, I know that some of our wounds come from some awful things that humans have done to you. Done to us, done to me. People have hurt us, especially as children, right? If something happened to you when you were a child by an adult and you think, I have to forgive them. I want to remind you, you're not forgiving them for them. You're forgiving them for you. But until we forgive where that wound started, all right, and we start to think on a higher dimension, right? We're not in the 3D of this happened to me. And also, like with energetic work and things, there's past life stuff, wounds that are still in your ancestral line, right? It's energetically there. It's happened. Your ancestors went through it. This is why I repeat all the time. As you heal and you're doing this work, you're healing generations. You're breaking generational patterns. You are, like my dad and Daniel and my Aunt Juanita, they are healing as I'm healing. And so I want you to keep that in mind. But as you're healing your wounds and you're not sure if if this was something or whatever, why you don't like to, I'm trying to think of one right now of a wound. But, and I cannot see the comments. Hold on. Before I tell you the next 2 steps of breaking these patterns. Okay, here. I am an oversharer. Okay. An overshare. Yeah, before I start on the other ones. I'm an overshare. So, this is why I want to talk with you. So when you overshare, do you overshare with everybody? And I think Susan, like, we've had this conversation. We're open books. Do you overshare as, like, not so much as defensively, but you're just oversharing? Do you mean that? Or because we're open books. We've talked about this. Vulnerability is a superpower, all right? I could be considered an oversharer, but it's not, it doesn't have a hold on me. It doesn't make me go back to watching my lives and be like, I can't believe I said that, and why did I tell them that? Oh, and like over explaining, maybe is that what you meant too? I don't know, because I used to be an I'd explain everything. That was one of the first things I consciously became aware of and put a stop to, of over explaining the things. Megan, I feel bad when I overshare. I try really hard not to ever say anything in depth. Okay? Now, it also depends on who we're talking to, right? But as a society, we have learned to bond through our wounds. I mean, and it is a bonding experience. But when we identify with them, like that, the incest example, the lady was just asking for a meeting June 6th or 7th, had no idea she was a victim of incest, but the lady that she was asking was like, oh, I have my support group that day. No way. She didn't need to know that. So is that what you mean about oversharing, Susan? Because that's like, we are trying to give an explanation as to why we can't do something. And why we, when really it's like, that's not anyone's business. I understand what you mean by overshare. I think now both of you, Megan and Susan, as far as we have to give an explanation as to why we're not available for somebody, or an explanation as to why we are, or whatever, right? Why can't I see this in others and help them heal, but my own drama is perpetually fucking with who I am? Practice what I preach. Girl, this is what we do, right? This is what we do, Susan, because the same with me, but this is why I go to a healer. I go to I have my coach. I get my healing, because there's a lot of times when, and also there's things that come up in my head as I say that, of like, oh, I'm this will relaunch, and some people might think I spiritually bypass, and I'm all these thoughts start coming up, and it's like, but I don't bullshit about, I don't pretend that I have the perfect relationship. It's totally not. It's like, not at all. And I don't pretend that it is. I don't pretend that I have the most glorious life. So anyway, my coach has to help me with that, because that's one of my wounds. I have something with that, and my cat is trying to take down my tapestry. But anyway, Susan, because when we're so close to our stuff, this is why we're mirrors for one another. What you see in someone else, like, because some things you see, I'm not gonna see, right? That's also the art of, and the beauty of being a healer, is we can just show up and hold space for people and have conversations and help them heal. And as we help them heal, we're healing our own. So, but Susan, I struggle with that as well, as far as like, what the hell is going on here? I'm helping everyone else heal. But anyway, this is healing. This is healing, right? Not everybody has the balls to do it, because they don't. And all of you on here, Kay, Susan, Megan, the three that I see up at the top, I know 100%, all three of you. Like, I know pretty well. I know a lot about your journey, and you guys you're doing it. This is, Woundology is a language everybody speaks, right? It's not, but then there's some people that go to healing workshops. My teacher also told me about this one where this 70-year-old man came to one of her healing workshops. He brought a teddy bear, okay? And all the women around him were like, oh, it's so cute. Like, he had a childhood wound, and he had no interest in healing. But he was at a healing workshop. So you're going to get those people that say they want to heal. Yeah, this has happened to me. This happens so much more than I have people stay. I've had women leave because I've hit a nerve, or something has started to come up, And Susan, let me know if you've experienced, I'm sure you have too, where we hit something, something starts to come up, and then she doesn't come back. This is why the first 222, I have a offer that's $222, and it's 3 sessions consecutively, back to back to back, right? Over, and they're like 90 minutes long, each one of them. And the reason that is because I don't sell just one session anymore, because I learned really quickly that when you start to hit that nerve of like, oh my gosh, that wound's coming up, that is when a lot that like, as a human, I think we got to go back into old patterns. We have to go back into how we used to be, because if I heal, it's going to require me to up level in some way. And that's scary. So, taking the scary away from it. So one, forgiveness of ourselves first. This is what chakra work is about too, with that heart chakra, with that sacral as well, that emotional release. And one of my clients had one yesterday, and in our session, and it's just beautiful to watch. I'll just say that. It's just beautiful to watch when somebody releases something. And then it takes the afterwork. Oh, there's another thing, which Susan, because you're a sound healer and she does energy work, she's an energy healer as well. When that leaves, right? It's released. The aftercare. We can go back and we can still like create that energy again. That stuck energy can come back if we don't change the way we're thinking, right? That's another reason I won't do just one session. They have to be consecutive. And of course, then we move on to other things if those first 3 get things going. But healing in itself, it's all, it takes balls. It just does, you guys. Okay. So, forgiveness. So forgiving the person that did something to you. Okay. And I've heard stories. We've all heard what has happened to you. In the 3D, right? It happened to you, and it's awful, and it brings tears to my eyes to think about what humans do to other humans. It's awful, it sucks. However, it happened for you in some way. It wasn't happening to you. It wasn't the universe saying, you're bad, you did this thing, you need to now live tied to this thing. And everywhere you look, tell people what you can handle and what you can't. Again, what did I say? We don't know how to control someone if we don't have a wound that they have to abide by our rules. That's why with boundary work, I have an issue right now with setting boundaries that I think we'll talk about sometime, because sometimes I feel like, it's great to set boundaries, but I think sometimes we can allow our boundary setting to keep us safe. And that's controlling how other people are around us. That is when it begins to be a little less about healthy boundary setting and more into in wound enabling, right? Where we, and this is excessive. So 1 is acceptance, okay, radical acceptance. 2 is forgiveness. And then with 3, it is leaving your wounds behind and develop an inner self. So you're in here, you guys are doing this work. Susan, you do this, like, we all are doing this work. We have created this relationship with our inner self. Also, our higher self. I won't even just say our inner self, but our higher self. Like this lower self that we have that is stuck in these wounds. Being able to hold her, like Kay, you guys were in yesterday when we did the, Kay, we started to talk about this, right? In the live in the conscious creation group yesterday. Let me go shut this door. Hold on a minute. And so this kind of just like kind of goes off of that, right? Is that when we are healing these wounds, or when they come up, and pay attention today Pay attention today as you're talking to people. If you live with somebody who lives in their wounds and you have to step on eggshells and, oh, I better not say that because that's going to set him off, or, oh, he doesn't want me to do this, or she doesn't want me to do this. Oh, I better not, I don't know. Here's how you know you're living with somebody that speaks Woundology as their main language. If you can't be who you are authentically, and you have to watch what you say, and you have to, and this is what I have to do sometimes with David, right? Not so much about what I say, but it's what I do, if I leave, if I go do something, right? It is, okay, they are taking it, it's that, how did I say it? Hold on, I said it, I put it in here. Used the wound and delivered the rage. So they use the wound and then deliver the rage to us, but it's what he does. So if you live with somebody like that, the way to break that is to respond differently, like I talked about earlier. Respond differently to that. And then eventually leave, right? That's where I'm at right now. We had a great time last night, but that doesn't mean that I'm not still where I was, right? So acceptance, radical acceptance for yourself. Okay, yesterday we hugged our older self, right? Was that what we did? It was I put it in the library that I'm creating, the Soul Vault. By the way, Megan, I need your email. I think unless you're on my email list, I'm going to send everybody out access to it today, but it's in there. It'll be in there. And it's about embracing ourself yesterday, right? Who we were yesterday with radical acceptance. And what does that mean? It means no judgment. Zero. Nothing is good or bad. Everything is information. Nothing is good or bad. Everything is information. And then forgiveness. So what do you have a hard time with right now? What are you guys struggling with when it comes to breaking patterns? That might seem so easy. Oh, I just have to accept it and then forgive it and then develop a consistent routine to heal. Like, that's all I have to do? Well, yeah, but that's not, it sounds easy, but it's not, because why haven't you healed from whatever it is that we're, like, why? If anybody wants to answer, why don't we heal? Because we're comfortable. And this is so deeply ingrained in our subconscious. So that is what we do here, okay? In the Soul Relaunch. That's what I hold space for in the Soul Relaunch project, which is today. I'm getting ready to go live on my page and talk more about it. But you guys, I'm going to show you first the box at the end of this. If you guys have any questions about this, let me know. Drop them in the chat. And if you guys want, with the Soul Relaunch project, which it's $33 for the first 10, which I have 2 now, of you guys. I'm not allowing, I'm doing a wait list on my personal page, but I'm not allowing anyone to go in it until I think March 1st is when I'm going to open it to everybody else. Like, I'm going to start talking about it on my page and everything, but you guys, like, I want you in here to have access to that. So, and you can do 6 months or you can do a year. And so every month I send you a box and I have it downstairs. I have it out and everything. And then, like, this month there's this, like, mug in it is what I'm going to send you guys, this mug. And then I'm going to send you 2 crystals. So we're going to start with the root chakra. So I'm going to send you 2 crystals that are root chakra crystals. Or I might do sacral and root since I don't know, we'll see. But I'm going to send you 2 crystals. And then I'm going to send you a statue of some sort. So this one's the Buddha statue. This isn't the one I'm sending you guys. But what we're going to do is meet each month. Oh, incense too. I'm sending you guys incense and then a candle. Sorry, I didn't put the candle up here. I think it's up here. Hold on. The one that I made. Okay, maybe it's downstairs. So anyway, what I want to do, the point is to have focused attention once a month with these, to do a ritual together on Zoom or in person, anyone that's around here. Like we used to, Megan, come and hang out. I know you're busier now, but what I want to do is have focused attention. And then also, whatever goal one thing you're wanting to accomplish this year, then we will do some coaching around that every single month. right? And do this ritual together, and to set intentions and to see that we are doing this. We are in our healing journey and we are not going away from it. I'm going to clear whatever this is this year, and it's going to be, because it's consistency. It's accountability. I'll tell you what moves my needle. Accountability, support, consistency. Even if it's shitty consistency. Even if it's just like showing up and listening. That's still showing up. Okay? So, let me know your questions. Thanks for hanging out with me today. What are your thoughts on Woundology? If you are, if this hits some nerves, pay attention, right? Pay attention to those. Let's have a conversation. Wednesday night, I'm gonna come on. I'm gonna start doing Wednesday nights again because the challenge is over. If you haven't been over in the Conscious Creation Challenge, I'm keeping all the videos up there until the end of the week, so you guys can just go through, or watch one, listen to one in the morning if you want, whatever it is. But it's just to raise your vibration in the morning, get you into alignment, okay, and then be present and accepting of the wounds that you're healing at the same time, right? We don't have to heal and then manifest. We can do it all at the same time. We just have to have support. So, all right, guys, I love you. Have a good day.